Well, staying with our big breaking news on India today, Hafiz Saeed and Syed Salahuddin are now under Pakistan Army security after surgical strikes. Pakistan safe custody. Lashkar-e-Taiba Chief Hafiz Saeed and Hizbul commander Syed Salahuddin have now been shifted into formations under Lahore-based 4 Corps. Executive Editor Gaurav Sawant breaking this story on India today. Gaurav, it completely and now very clearly shows how rattled is the Pakistan establishment, especially the army.
Ankit, you're spot on. You've just traveled to the line of control yourself and you've seen how on the other side there is massive movement in terms of Pakistan for the first time shoring up its defenses along the line of control. That's point one. The Director General of ISI, General Akhtar, may be changed. That's point two. And point three, which is the biggest danger Pakistan perceives, is India taking out terror commanders Hafiz Saeed and Syed Salahuddin. So that is why both these big terror commanders have now been shifted into protective custody of Pakistan Army. So rattled is Pakistan after India's surgical strikes at multiple levels. Look at the expanse, Ankit. You've been on ground zero. You've seen right from Kale and Lipa Valley along the Pir Panjal ranges down to Tattapani and Bimbar in the Poonch, Rajouri, Naushera sector. Along 250 kilometers, the Indian Army carried out multiple surgical strikes simultaneously. Not in Pakistan's wildest dreams had they anticipated a surgical strike like this. And now Pakistan is actually expecting the unexpected, and that is why they've shifted these terror commanders in protective custody, Ankit.
Gaurav, also tell us about this security formation that has now been thrown, around Hafiz Saeed and Syed Salahuddin. Both of them are key masterminds of various attacks as far as India is concerned.
Syed Salahuddin heads a terrorist organization called Hizbul Mujahideen, which is based out of Muzaffarabad. Several terrorist launch pads and training camps after the surgical strikes have been vacated completely because Pakistan fears that India could carry out another surgical strike. As far as Lashkar-e-Taiba is concerned, their headquarters is in Murid Ke in Pakistan's Punjab, not far from Lahore. But they also have several training camps in Manshera, in Muzaffarabad, where Daura-e-Aam and Daura-e-Khas training of these terrorists are carried out for a period of 3 months and 6 months. Now, those terrorist camps, these terrorists have been moved out of these camps and they've been moved into civilian locations. You'd recall, Ankit, just yesterday, there were massive protests in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir because terrorists had been taken out of camps and shifted into homes of locals or in villages, and villagers and town people are very unhappy with terrorists in their midst. So they protested against the Pakistan Army, and this goes on to indicate how rattled all of Pakistan is at this stage. There is a lot of intelligence input that is coming in about Pakistan Army moving in some of its defensive formations closer to the line of control, because so far, Ankit, it was only the Indian Army that was thickly deployed along the line of control. For the first time, we see Pakistan Army that is now deploying more extensively along the line of control, fearing India will exploit the gaps and take out terrorists and their commanders, and also the terror infrastructure, which was so far safe. Ankit, the terror infrastructure does include Pakistan Army's permanent defenses and posts which are used to push in terrorists, Ankit.
Gaurav, just stay on with me. Wing Commander Praful Bakshi is now joining us on the phone line for more on this story. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Gaurav, breaking this story on India today, how Pakistan Army and the establishment absolutely rattled after the surgical strikes. They are now moving in to secure Syed Salahuddin and Hafiz Saeed. They fear there can be an Osama bin Laden kind of operation conducted by India.
Are you asking me?
Yes, sir.
You are absolutely right. Right from the beginning, it was absolutely clear that the Pakistan is being run by a coalition of Army, ISI, and the terrorist element and Mullah elements. Now, Saeed and Hafiz Saeed and Syed, they both are very important leaders who motivate the people, who actually are, in fact, one of them even failed terrorist training, and these camps, which are the basic camp and the advanced camp, both, now they have been shifted back because of the fear of more strikes and the damage to their assets. But let me tell you one thing. The Pakistan public is absolutely against them. If you talk to a normal middle-class person, intelligentsia or whoever they are, they just don't support this terrorist elements and they don't support their army. So this has created a lot of friction between army and other people. And but the Syed and both these people have to be protected, so they have been put into army camps with under special escorts, and they will be there for safety, and so that they can be used again. Because otherwise, the mullah elements and Taliban will not cooperate with army, and that is the main reason, because army is using them as their main strike instrument.
Right, sir, I just request you to stay on with me. Let me also get in Major General AJB Jaini for more on this story. Sir, the story that we are breaking on India today about how Rattled Pakistan and the army is now moving in, it's making sure that their top terror commanders, the ones that they use for their strategic assault on India, Syed Salahuddin and Hafiz Saeed, are protected. The army is now moving them to different locations, throwing a protective ring again around them.
Yes, Ankit. I partly agree with the speakers who have commented before me, and I would like to add the second part first, that is moving of the training camps from closer to the LOC to now taking them deeper inside what they call the Azad Kashmir, the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Well, on that issue, all that I would like to comment is that after our surgical strike on 27th of September last, Pakistan has got the message that we mean business. Pakistan has got the message that we are not going to keep quiet, we are not going to take it lying down. In fact, Baramulla has still to be avenged. So therefore, they are playing safe that move these camps, because earlier on what we attacked were the launching pads. Now we have the capability of even taking on their training camps, and the training camps are deeper than the launching pads. So they are playing safe in moving the training camps deeper into PoK, so that no land action, no overnight action, no action which is in one night turnaround distance, what we call in the army, that our special forces can go, hit and come back in the same night as we did in Kale and in Bimbar and those 8 camps. So they are playing safe on these. They want to still maintain those training camps. They won't give up their 1,000-cut policy because they have no other policy. And that's the only way they can sort of beat India, because they cannot fight a conventional war with us. We are 7 times the size and 4 times, 6 times the population and 4 times the size of the country and the strength of our army.
Yes.
So they will continue to maintain those camps, and they have moved those camps inside. The second issue which I have been asked by you is about providing safe security to Hafiz Saeed and to Salahuddin. Well, these people are very valuable to Pakistan. They are very valuable to their ISI, they are very valuable to their army. And the ISI and army, let me say, are the people who control Pakistan. In fact, it is likely said that India has an army, whereas the Pakistan army has Pakistan. We have, our country has got an army, but whereas their army has got a country. So it is the army and the ISI who call the shots there. These two guys who are very, very dangerous terrorists. They are on the world list of known terrorists, pronounced terrorists. Even America has pronounced them terrorists. So they are now playing a double game.
Yeah.
They want to safeguard these guys so that they can use them anytime later. And second thing is, this is a sham, a fraud, an absolute show they are trying to do, because America has told them, Russia has told them, China even has told them that, okay, now do something. In fact, the few days ago, the conference which Nawaz Sharif had with his ISI people and with his army people, telling them take hold of these terrorists, make sure that they don't play mischief. This is a show to the world. In trying to break that isolation in which Pakistan is tied up today,
sir,
and trying to tell people that we are taking action against them. But
sir, just stay on with me. Let's get more details from Gaurav, who is breaking this story on India Today. Gaurav, what are the other details? I also know from what you have sent is that they are being moved to army camps of Lahore-based 4 Corps. Bring us more details on this move by Pakistan.
Ankit, it's not just the top terror leadership, but also the second-rung leadership of terrorists who've been shifted out of the terror training camps and their locations to safer locations. Apart from Hafiz, Saeed and Syed Salahuddin, other terror commanders have also been moved out. Some of the terror camps, this is intelligence which is not just based on human intelligence but also technical intelligence that seems to indicate that terrorists who are undergoing the training or some who are already at launch pads are being moved back. Now, this could well be tactical. They could move them back into civilian areas, shift them with local villagers, and local villagers have been protesting.
Yes.
But immediately after that, they could be once again moved to different terror training camps and launch pads and then pushed into India. So this is a battle of attrition. It's too premature to, either announce victory or say Pakistan's on the back foot. This is just one small tactical victory. There still is a big war on terror ahead, and that is where Pakistan will try something bigger and more spectacular. What sources and intelligence agencies are telling India today is that terrorists want to strike at police stations, at other places, where minorities are being protected by policemen, so that their weapons can be snatched and a big headline can be made. So that is there is clear and present danger of a massive terror strike at a soft location, not just in Jammu and Kashmir, but in other areas along, the international border,
That's right.
especially in festival time.
That is exactly what we have been, working on. We have been telling our viewers and breaking this right along the last week or so on India Today. Intelligence inputs clearly saying that terrorists are desperate to launch some sort of terror attack so that they can send a message across to at least their own cadre. We are now being joined on the phone line by the Defence Express Sushant Sareen. Sir, thank you so much for speaking to India Today. Sir, the story that we are breaking of the terror masterminds, Hafiz, Saeed and along with him, Hizbul commander Syed Salahuddin, both of them being moved into army camps. It clearly shows that there is some sort of, Pakistan is rattled at one point. We see how the army chief of Pakistan is now touring the LOC. They are now taking measures, efforts to ensure that their strategic assets, these terror masterminds, are not taken out by India.
Well, I think to the extent that we have posed this kind of a move on them, I think the terror, the surgical strikes against the terror launch pads have had a somewhat salutary impact. Although I would tend to agree with what Gaurav was saying, that this is probably just tactical. It might be for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, to let matters cool down before they be activated. I don't see how launch pads can be shifted a few kilometers back and then be operated as launch pads, because that would defeat the very purpose of a launch pad, which is that it has to be very close to the LOC. So that if they are going to reactivate the launch pads, then that will have to be closer to the LOC, not 5, 7 or 8 kilometers behind. The second thing is that we already know, and again, this is not to my mind a new revelation, that many of these terrorist bases, even camps, even resting places in PoK are located next to army camps. This is an old tactic of the Pakistanis, so that they don't come under the satellite gaze, to basically hide their tracks. So most of these guys are located near army camps. So no new revelations as far as I am concerned on that. But yes, to the extent that terrorists like Hafiz Saeed and others have been moved, I think they are also rattled that maybe with the kind of proactive policy India is undertaking, there might be fears or apprehensions that perhaps some kind of targeted attacks against these terror heads could be launched in the next few days or maybe few weeks. So maybe there is an effort to protect these fellows. But you can't keep these kind of terrorists bottled up for long, because ultimately, if you want to use these guys, then you have to let them loose, and that is the time when I think they become equally vulnerable, as we go along. So
Yes.
I think to the extent that the fear of God has been put in these terrorists, I think that is a good thing which has come out of the surgical strike.
Thank you so much, sir. Just I would request all my guests to stay on with me. There's a very important story that Gaurav Sawant has just broken on India today. Army of Pakistan has now taken all these terror masterminds, which they consider their strategic assets against India, into their own protective custody, fearing another strike to take out these terror mastermind, and Osama bin Laden kind of an operation being mounted by India. Story spooked by India's surgical strike. Pakistan Army has now moved Hafiz, Saeed and Syed Salahuddin, the two terror mastermind who are used by Pakistan as strategic assets against India, into protective custody. Gaurav Sawant, the executive editor, breaking this story on India Today. We'll just get Gaurav on this story, but the information is that the Pakistan Army has moved Syed Salahuddin and Hafiz Saeed into protective custody. They are now in an army camp of Lahore-based 4 Corps. That is the Pakistan Army's 4 Corps based in Lahore. All of them have been moved to the camp of this unit. In fact, the fear, our experts are saying that Pakistan now fears that there may be another operation to take out these terror masterminds. Let me now bring in Arun Singh. He is former research and analysis wing officer. Mr. Singh, the story that you must be seeing on India Today, sir, about how Hafiz Saeed and Syed Salahuddin have been moved into protective custody, clearly shows that Pakistan is fearing more attacks, more surgical strikes against its terror masterminds.
Yes, they have reasons to believe so. I mean, I will not go into the details, but suffice to say that they do fear Osama bin Laden type of a strike, because this surgical strike had many features of that famous strike on insertion of command Marines in Abbottabad.
Yes.
And therefore it is reasonable to for them to nurture such kind of apprehension. Both these sinister these jihadi leaders, you named Hafiz Saeed and Syed Salahuddin.
Okay.
I've been told that they have been pushed into the confines of cantonment. And let me also tell you that they are not been able to galvanize suicide bombers with the same facility that they did earlier. So therefore this strike has actually hit Pakistan in many ways.
Let me just now quickly get in Gaurav Sawant for this. Gaurav, it very well may be the point that the army, Pakistan army, is so rattled that they believe that India now can strike right at the heart. We are now hitting back. They believe that possibly Syed Salahuddin and Hafiz Saeed may be taken out. But, very quickly, just taking it forward, do we have the capacity to launch an Abbottabad kind of a strike? Already, this surgical strike has escalated the matters as far as India-Pakistan borders are concerned.
Ankit, whether it's an Abbottabad-like strike or another version or a variation of it, the basic thing is to take out terrorists like Hafiz Saeed and Syed Salahuddin. What has happened after this surgical strike that took place over a 250-kilometer long area at multiple locations? Pakistan now, expects the unexpected. It's not as if Indian Air Force helicopters will go in. We don't have that kind of stealth helicopters. We don't have helicopters with that facilities, even though our commandos are very good. Our special forces have proven themselves time and again, including this time. But there are other ways to take out these terrorists, and you don't even have to send in your troops to take them out. With a national security advisor like Ajit Doval, who has spoken of offensive defense, who has spoken of ways to take out terrorists without committing your armed forces into those operations. Now, that is something that Pakistan is wargaming. And any professional army, and Pakistan is a professional army, they are wargaming all scenarios. If a terrorist like Hafiz Saeed is taken out, anytime soon,
yes,
or Syed Salahuddin, or even the second rung, it will be a huge slap on the face of Pakistan. Now, Pakistan officially is denying this. Unofficially, they've ordered an inquiry into it. Officially, the Director General ISI, who's supposed to be the second most powerful man in Pakistan, he is in deep trouble. He could be shifted out before his tenure gets over. Their army chief is about to retire. His extension is in limbo. Now, if there's something else that happens, Pakistan will be in disarray, and that is why they're only taking very tactical measures. Now it depends whether India ups the ante or takes the feet off the pedal. So it's a big permutation combination game that's going on. Even if not an Abbottabad kind of a strike, but India has many ways to inflict pain on Pakistan, and this surgical strike has proved that India is willing to exercise options. That is Pakistan's fear.
Gaurav, also very quickly, this has also given once more an occasion or an opportunity for the Indian government to once again show how close the Pakistan army and these terrorists work together. This is also something that can be used on the global platform to expose Pakistan and put pressure on them to at least get all these elements out.
Unfortunately, that does not work with a state sponsor of terror like Pakistan. Why? Somebody like Osama bin Laden, the world's most wanted terrorist, was found in Abbottabad. And despite that, Pakistan hasn't been shamed. Mullah Mansoor was killed in Pakistan. That hasn't shamed Pakistan. So even if these terrorists are seen there or taken out there, Pakistan is such a, it's a shameless country. Unfortunately, that is the stark reality about Pakistan. It's a shameless state sponsor of terror. It has so far, even now, it has been blackmailing United States and other countries into giving it support. It's only now that when exposed, everyone is standing up. At least India is standing up to Pakistan blackmail.
That's right.
It remains to be seen what steps India takes. But words will not shame Pakistan. That has to be realized now.
Actions, of course, will, and that is exactly what the Indian government has shown with the surgical strikes. Thank you so much, Gaurav Sawant, and all our guests for joining us on this big breaking story.